A woman walks into a car boot sale with 10 pounds in her pocket. She walks out with a ring. 30 years later, she sits across from an appraiser at Sotheby's auction house in London, and what he tells her nearly stops her heart. That dusty, tarnished ring she'd been wearing every single day, to work, to the grocery store, in the shower, wasn't costume jewelry. It was a 26-carat diamond worth more than most people's houses. But here's what makes this story incredible. She almost never found out. It was a regular weekend morning in West London, sometime in the 1980s. The kind of gray, drizzly day that makes you want to stay in bed, but this particular woman, who to this day has chosen to remain anonymous, decided to get out and do something. She wandered over to a local car boot sale, the kind of open-air market where people sell everything from old lamps to chipped teacups out of the backs of their cars. If you've ever been to one, you know the vibe. Most of it is junk. Somebody's unwanted clutter laid out on a folding table. She wasn't there for anything specific. She just liked looking. There's something almost therapeutic about sifting through other people's things, imagining the stories behind them. And honestly, with only about 10 pounds to her name that day, roughly $13, she wasn't exactly in a position to splurge. She was eyeing a necklace at one of the stalls when something in the corner caught her attention. A ring, a big one. It had a massive stone mounted in an old ornate setting, and even in the dull light of an overcast London morning, it caught the light in a way that made her stop mid-step. Now, she wasn't naive. She knew it couldn't be real. A diamond that size at a car boot sale. That would be insane. It had to be glass or crystal. Costume jewelry that someone had tossed aside. But there was something about it. Maybe it was the size. Maybe it was the way it sparkled. Maybe it was the quiet little voice in her head that said, "You deserve something beautiful." So she bought it, 10 pounds, every penny she had on her. She slipped it onto her finger, and honestly, she just loved the way it looked. It made her feel elegant. It made her feel like she was wearing something important, even if she believed it was worthless. And that feeling, that was worth 10 pounds to her. Here's where the story gets almost unbelievable. She wore that ring every single day for the next 3 decades. Not in a jewelry box. Not on special occasions, every single day, to her job. Running errands, doing the dishes, gardening. For 30 years, this woman had a 26-carat diamond on her finger and treated it like a mood ring from a gas station. And honestly, can you blame her? The ring didn't look like what most people picture when they think diamond. Over the years, silver tarnished, dirt built up around the stone and the setting. The sparkle she'd first noticed at the car boot sale had long since faded under layers of grime and daily wear. If anything, it looked less impressive as time went on, but she didn't care. It wasn't about how it looked to other people. It was hers. It was the one small luxury she'd allowed herself, and it had become part of her identity. She lived a modest, quiet life in London. She wasn't wealthy. She wasn't connected to high society. She was just a woman who loved a ring. But life has a funny way of nudging you toward truths you didn't know you needed. One afternoon, she was out running errands when she noticed a man staring at her hand. Not a quick glance, a locked, focused stare, the kind that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. She tried to ignore it, but the attention rattled her. She left quickly and put the encounter out of her mind. But it stuck with her. It planted a tiny seed of curiosity that she couldn't quite shake. Why would a stranger be so fixated on a piece of costume jewelry? Was there something about the ring she didn't know? The thought nagged at her for days. Eventually, she made a decision that would change her life. She would take it to someone who could tell her what it actually was. Not a pawn shop, not a local jeweler. She went straight to Sotheby's, one of the most prestigious auction houses in the world, right there in London. She probably felt out of place walking in. Sotheby's deals in Picassos and royal heirlooms, not car boot sale finds, but she went anyway. And thank God she did. The experts at Sotheby's took one look at the ring and knew something was off. Not off in a bad way. Off in a "this shouldn't exist in someone's everyday jewelry" way. They told her they'd need to run tests on the stone. She agreed and went home to wait. The days that followed were agonizing. She swung between excitement and dread. What if it was nothing and she'd wasted everyone's time? What if they laughed at her? She'd walked into one of the most elite institutions in the world with a dirty ring from a flea market. The embarrassment alone could have been crushing. Then the phone rang. Sotheby's had sent the stone to the Gemological Institute of America, the gold standard for diamond certification. The GIA doesn't guess. They don't estimate. They test, measure, and verify with scientific precision, and their conclusion was unambiguous. The stone in her ring was a genuine 26-carat cushion-cut white diamond, dating back to the 19th century. Let that land for a second. 26 carats for context. The average engagement ring diamond is about 1 carat. This was 26 times that on her finger. For 30 years. Bought for $13, Jessica Wyndham, head of Sotheby's jewelry department, explained why no one, including the woman herself, had ever suspected the truth. The diamond had been cut in a style popular in the 1800s, designed to preserve the stone's weight rather than maximize its sparkle. Unlike modern brilliant cuts that are engineered to throw light in every direction, this older cushion cut had flatter, broader facets. It simply didn't look like what people expect a diamond to look like. Add 30 years of dirt, tarnish, and daily wear on top of that, and you've got a near-million-dollar diamond hiding in plain sight. Wyndham estimated the ring could fetch up to $350,000 at auction, roughly $450,000. The woman was speechless. She decided to sell. And on the day of the auction, the ring that had cost her £10 at a car boot sale in West London went under the hammer at Sotheby's. The final price? $656,750,000. For a ring she bought with her last £10, imagine that moment. Imagine sitting in that room watching people bid hundreds of thousands of pounds on something you'd been wearing while scrubbing pots. Something you almost didn't buy because you thought you were being silly spending your last bit of cash on a piece of costume jewelry. This story gets shared a lot, and I think the reason it resonates so deeply isn't really about the money. It's about the idea that value isn't always obvious. That something extraordinary can sit right under your nose, on your finger, in fact, for decades without anyone recognizing it. This woman wasn't an expert. She wasn't a gemologist or an antiques dealer. She was just someone who saw something beautiful and decided it was worth her last £10. She wore it with pride even when she thought it was worthless. And in the end, the universe rewarded her for trusting her instincts. Not every car boot sale ring is hiding a secret fortune. Probably none of them are, but every once in a while, life reminds us that the most extraordinary things can come from the most ordinary places. And sometimes the treasure was with you all along. You just didn't know it yet. So the next time you walk past a flea market or a garage sale and something catches your eye, maybe stop for a second. Pick it up. You probably won't find a 26-carat diamond, but then again, neither did she. At least not for 30 years.